Good evening. Questions are starting to be asked about why parts of the West were devastated by the recent severe flooding and what can be done to prevent it happening again. Hundreds of homes and businesses were affected by the storms a fortnight ago, and for many the clear-up is still continuing tonight.
And for some, it's not over. This aerial picture, released today, shows for the first time the full extent of the unprecedented flooding which remains on the Somerset levels.
4 more pumps and extra staff have been brought in to try to reduce the water levels, but the Environment Agency says they're not dropping as much as hoped, and there's concern about further rain tonight.
In Chewstoke in North Somerset, 1 man died after being rescued from the floodwater. Personal possessions and sandbags still litter the village, and a meeting is being held tonight to discuss how to limit any future damage.
Well, Scott Ellis is there. Scott, it sounds like a rather sad sight.
Some of the streets are, David. Of course, they got hit by rain really badly in September as well as November here. I'm actually stood in the River Chew at Chewstoke. This is where the man was in his 4x4 and he got swept away down the river here to his death. And it proves, doesn't it, the rainwater isn't just destructive, but it's also deadly. But the question that everybody's asking, from Tewkesbury down to Taunton, from Weston across the levels to Malmesbury, is what can be done? Well, tonight in the village hall just up from the fort here, residents will be meeting with the Environment Agency, with the council and with the local water company, and the question on everybody's lips will be what can be done about future flooding. The worst floods since 1968. Many homes here were flooded 4 times in 6 weeks, and a man died when his car was swept away on a river. There are flowers where he perished. The River Chew has now receded, but the noise of this babbling brook is drowned out by reconstruction work and the drone of dehumidifiers. The local pub has reopened and is somewhere to gauge the mood ahead of tonight's meeting.
The feeling is not very good. A lot of people are agitated and they worry about the situation because every time it rains they think it's going to happen again.
I was flooded 3 times in 1 week, and so every time it rains and we get these constant reminders from the Environment Committee people that there might be another flood tonight, flood warning, so you rush out with the sandbags and everything, and sometimes it doesn't even rain.
So the mood in the Chew Valley is uneasy. Some worry about house prices falling. Tonight's meeting will be a chance to ask or advise what, if anything, can be done to stop flooding in future.
I think basically another reservoir or maybe dredging the streams.
There may be no answer.
Maybe no answer.
Do you accept that?
Well, no, I think as a householder you've got to try and do what you can to prevent it coming into your home. And I'm trying to do that, but I don't know who to turn to.
Some wonder if the reservoirs here could be deepened or drained a little ahead of big downpours so they can take in more floodwater. But no one, not even the Environment Agency, is pretending that there's a simple answer. Tonight's meeting is the first of many across the West Country. Well, I'm joined now by one of the local councillors here, Liz Richardson. Liz, do you get that sense of desperation when you speak to people in Chewstoke, Chew Magna?
Well, Scott, I think the thing to remember is that some of these people have been flooded 4 times in a month, and that would take the toll on even the best humoured person.
What do you think the mood's going to be like in the meeting? Do you think it's going to be sort of angry scenes? Are people going to vent their spleens a bit?
We're really hoping that people will just take this as a very level question and answer session. People do need answers. There's no point in getting angry. There will be reports written, but obviously some people will be upset.
But do people around here blame the authorities in any way for the flooding that's happened?
There are all sorts of theories going around, and one of the problems is that some of the agencies, some of the questions need more than one agency to answer those questions. So yes, they need answers, and in not getting the answers, they do start to blame people.
Can you make this area flood-proof realistically, though? I mean, they've had big floods here, well, since time immemorial, really.
Absolutely. We have to remember we've had exceptional rainfall. We do live in an area that is prone to flooding, but I do think that in 2012 that there are things that could be done to help either individual homes or perhaps help carry the water away faster or via a different route.
OK, and it might include waterproofing your homes, taking measures on your own.
Absolutely. I think householders have got to do their bit on their own, but I do think the agencies have got to work together to try and minimise these impacts, especially in times of adverse weather like this.
Thank you very much for joining us. We will, of course, update you on what happens at the meeting later on tonight. I will leave you by saying, of course, that rain has now started.
Scott, thanks very much for that.